What is going on, everybody? VitalSyntax here, and welcome to the third episode of my class review series for Medal of Honor Warfighter's multiplayer component. In the last two episodes, we went over the Sniper class and the Assaulter, and for this episode, we're going to be talking about the Demolitions class, which is actually quite a unique class because of its ability that it has, which is essentially a ballistic vest, which gives you an extra 100 points of health that you can take to your character, but you only get that 100 points every time you respawn. You can only use it once. Once those 100 points of health are depleted or armor are depleted, you go back to your normal take damage health regeneration system that you have with all the other classes. Now, if you or your fire team buddy actually get the ammo or fire team replenish, which, he's going to give you more ammo, it's going to give you more grenades, but also it's going to give you, another 100 points of armor that you can use for this class. And that's typically a second defensive score chain, so just kind of have your eyes out for that and tell your squad team buddy when you are low on armor, maybe they can use their fire team replenish that they've been saving up or something. That's kind of a strategy I've tried to use a couple times with friends I've been playing with. So they do a couple things to balance out this ballistic armor because it is pretty powerful, and it gives you a very big advantage in gun-on-gun situations. The first thing is that the class in general is very slow. It's the slowest moving class, I believe. Probably the light machine gun class. The heavy gunner is also one of the slower ones. In comparison, you have something like the point man or the spec ops, which are two of the faster moving classes. On top of that, the armor has to be deployed. It doesn't just stay on by default. And deploying it, activating it, you have to pull down a visor over your head, and it takes a couple seconds. If you do that, you're exposed. You can't really do anything while you're doing it. And also, if you take the armor off, you're exposed for those couple seconds. Also, when you move, when you have the armor activated, you move extremely slow, and you can't run, and your walk is basically halted to a crawl. So, you're just very, very unmobile in a sense. All right, so that's the ability. I think it's pretty fun to mess around with, although overall it just feels really slow and really, really clunky. And I know that that's kind of what the class is meant to be, but I prefer a more aggressive approach personally, so this class doesn't necessarily fit me too well. All right, so let's move on to the explosives. So this class has a C4, which is always fun to use. You only get one C4 to throw. It does go pretty far, as you guys can see from the gameplay. I would prefer for them to include two. I don't know, they are pretty powerful, but you have to throw them and have them detonate, whereas something like the sniper gets two of the mines and he doesn't even have to detonate them, he just kind of leave them and go. So I would have preferred there to give you two of them. Alright, so let's move on to the score chains. Score chains, the first tier is you got the M32 grenade launcher, which is quite powerful. I believe it has either 6 or 8 rounds, and once you use those rounds, and you just go back to your other primary weapon. And the defensive score chain for the first tier is the smoke screen, which is great to throw on objectives if you're trying to capture a flag or something like that. The second tier, you've got the small rocket launcher, which is the same exact small that we saw in Battlefield 3 with the engineer class. It's the same model and reload animation, all that stuff. You get 2 of those, or if you want to, you can do the fire team replenish for the second tier defensive. The third tier, you get the MUSA robot, which is actually a controllable robot. You get to play that with that thing in the single player action. I've only gotten it one time in the multiplayer because I don't really play with this class all too much, and it is very powerful. You have a light machine gun attached to it as well as a grenade launcher. You can press 1 and 2 on the PC on your keyboard to switch between the grenade launcher and the light machine gun, and essentially it has quite a bit of health, and you can kind of just drive it around. It's really small hitbox, so it's kind of hard for enemies to shoot it, and you just have like a fully automatic grenade launcher and a light machine gun attached to that thing, so it's pretty powerful. And if you unlock it, it's pretty easy to get the next score chain, which obviously is going to be the Apache pilot for that 4th tier. Now, the defensive score chain for the 3rd tier is also the RQ-7 Shadow, which we've seen in a couple other classes. All right, so let's move on to the weapons. You've got the MK16 PDW, which is very similar to a SCAR. You got the HK M416C compact version. You've got the AKS-74U and the AA-12. Alright, so let's go over my personal favorite setup for this class. I like to use the MK16 PDW the most with the Trigicon RMR optics, which is kind of like a reflex red dot. And for the barrel, I like to use the lightweight barrel with the wood handguards. For the muzzle, I use the muzzle brake. Receiver, I use the standard stock. Magazine, I like to use the 30 round 5.56 millimeter magazine. By default, it only has a 20 round magazine, so make sure you guys unlock that 30 round magazine. And then for the paint job, I obviously once again like to use the black spray, which is under the earth category. But I think overall the best close range weapon for this class is the AA-12. You guys can see in this gameplay, this thing is a beast at close range. It is fully automatic. It's got pretty big spread, and it's useless at anything other than close range. I mean, even at medium range, it's going to take like 6 pellets, or sorry, 6 shells to kill a dude, maybe even more. You can unlock a drum magazine for this weapon. I haven't unlocked it quite yet, but I'm sure that'd be quite fun to mess around with. And then as far as the other weapons go, the M416C is going to be your best long-range weapon as far as I can tell. The MK16 is kind of the best medium-range, all-around weapon. And then the AKS-74U is also really good close range, kind of like the AA-12, but at longer ranges and even at medium ranges, it's just too inaccurate. It has a lot of recoil. Even if you tap or burst fire, I had trouble hitting people. Even like medium ranges, so it's kind of ridiculous. I didn't really like that one too much. And I also forgot to mention the sidearm. I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's either a Browning high power or an M1911 from Colt. Either way, it is the most powerful pistol in this game. It's ridiculous. It is a one-shot headshot, which is just insane. And I'm not sure exactly what the other damage modifiers are. It seems like it's either a 2-shot kill at close range or a 3-shot kill. Kind of gotten mixed results, but overall this thing is absolutely amazing. It's got an 8-round magazine, kind of a slower fire rate, and it's got a really high amount of recoil. So if you're trying to shoot people at range, you really have to take your time and control your shots. And also, it's not the most accurate. I think the other semi-automatic pistols are going to be better at longer ranges. This thing is just a beast at middle range, and also just at close range if you're going to hit fire something. But anyway, that's my review of the Demolitions class for Medal of Honor Warfighter. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to give me a like or a favorite. Remember to subscribe to be auto-notified when I upload the next video. Hopefully coming up some more Medal of Honor in the next review. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.